Therapy dudes, take away your stress, put you in a good mood. If you had them over, they would eat up all your food. It's time for therapy dudes.
Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Therapy Dudes. I am Andre, and this is Dan Fox, and we are talking about reality distortion in relationships, and how to move forward if that's going on in your life. We are also sponsored by Boulder Psychological Services. Visit their website, boulderpsychologicalservices.com. Plenty of great therapists on there, a lot of good resources for all kinds of issues that people can be going through. So, um, Dan, what was like a big takeaway that you got out of this concept of reality distortion, and where have you seen it play out in your life, if ever? Because you're pretty sharp, so I don't know if you've let it happen. And what would you do if you found yourself stuck in a dynamic like that?
Right. All right. Thanks for shooting 7 questions at me all at once so that there's no way I can.
Well, I just want your ADHD to, I want it to come together.
Okay.
We're working on it.
So I think, the first question of like, what stood out was that the conditioning element of this, that this is something that happens on a kind of lizard brain primal drive, getting our needs met place in our psyche, and not something that is sort of logic based. Because if we're trying to help somebody, either as a friend or as a therapist, to just be like, well, why don't you break up with the dude? Right? Like,
Yep.
that's not sufficient, because it sort of goes at it from a logical perspective when we're not dealing with it on a logical level, right?
That's an addiction.
It's an addiction. It's an attachment based thing.
Yep.
The primal drive that is getting controlled by our lizard brain, which controls those chemical impulses, right? Our smart thinking brain is several steps behind. And when we're caught up in something like this, typically our smart thinking brain is just kind of justifying whatever it is that we're feeling in the moment,
Yeah.
sort of trying to explain it, or just being like self-critical in a way that still doesn't actually help resolve the problem.
Do you
So,
remember, Dan? Well, keep going. I'll throw this in after you finish.
okay, I
Yeah.
I think that what this to me suggests is that we need to be doing something that first is operating on the nervous system level and on that feeling of well-being. And if we're centered and calm and feeling like well-resourced and operating from that position of not not feeling needy, anxious, like there's some hole that we're trying to fill, right? If we're in a kind of dysregulated space, the logic is going to, be completely un, unmanifestable, right? We might be able to hear it, we might be able to cognitively agree with it, but we're not going to be able to actually get to our center.
I would almost argue it's a somatic trauma
Yeah.
because your brain, you're being hijacked from the intermittent reinforcement, the attachment-based reality erosion, and the gaslighting. These are all things that cause you to have an internal experience that shows up in the form of anxiety in the body. It's fight or flight. You think of it like we're packed animals. So think of it like if we were in a pack and we felt we were losing that pack and we knew we wouldn't survive if we lost that pack, right?
Right.
That's the biological mechanism that we're kind of talking about.
Right. Which makes it so, because we're so, tribally wired,
Yeah.
it's natural when we need some kind of somatic relief, or when we're off center and dysregulated and we're trying to get regulated, that we're looking externally for some other person or external experience to provide us relief, to reassure us, right? And that our nervous system will get that temporary relief if somebody else does that, which is why things like that intermittent rewarding, right, and the relationship, or that sense of like I'm bonded to this person, right? We we keep feeling like that's the win and that's the relief. But
Yeah.
ultimately, I think, if we're off of our center, if we're uncentered, we have to look inward for that. If we're looking for somatic relief, that comes from the inside out. And
Yeah.
that
Yep.
that's
You have to be able to sit with it. You have
right.
to be able to regulate it. You have to think what is really going on. This is my attachment being activated. This is I'm okay right now, and like breathe, do box breathing or something like that to like when you have this kind of a psychological damage, the way you go about it is not through logic. It is not through cognitive behavioral therapy. It is more aligned with behavioral or EMDR or some kind of trauma therapy because it causes a trauma that is activated at all times, you know? And you have to learn how to um, numb that, right? You have not numb, but process that in a way where it doesn't take over your entire body, your entire mind, your entire life every time you feel triggered.
Yeah, logic and thoughts are not going to be the pathway to getting like somatic centering and relief. It's going to be sensory based. So the breathing that you're talking about, movement, getting outside, going on a hike, doing art, music, right? Those kinds of things can help us access a kind of inner peace that is very elusive if we're just trying to think our way through it. Because if we're trying to think our way through it, we're trying to figure out how to satisfy whatever the feeling dilemma is by usually getting some external person to do something that we feel like we need them to do to be able to calm down. And we actually just need to like let go of that whole cognitive paradigm. And
That whole model isn't helpful because we can't access it. That's not what the issue is. Because cognitively, we already know, you know, what's going on is it's being overridden by all of these other factors that we're talking about to protect yourself. You think you're protecting yourself by trying to make something work that cannot work. Does that make sense?
yes,
Because you want so badly for that to be something that can work so you can have peace. There is a hook that happens in reality distortion that hits you in one of these self-limiting beliefs like I'm not good enough or nobody loves me or I'm an imposter or whatever it is, right? And that's what you're ultimately, that's the cognitive part you can maybe frame and work against, but that's not the part that's keeping you in. Part that's keeping you in is all the somatic um experiences that you're having, the anxiety, the confusion, and it's not easy. I do want to give an example,
yeah,
a really simple example, so people can understand what reality distortion really is. Imagine someone steps on your foot. You say, "Hey, that hurt," and they respond, "Why are you so angry? You're overreacting." Then later, they tell other people, "He just gets angry over nothing." Eventually, you start wondering if your foot really hurt. That's what reality distortion is.
whew,
Um,
I feel like I would know my foot hurt.
I thought I would too. Um,
Mm.
you've actually experienced me within our friendship. This is before I started doing my own work around this kind of stuff. I don't know if you remember, we planned to go on a hike, you and I, years and years ago. And I was, don't you laugh at me. He remembers a story already. I showed up. You were already there, and I was having a moment with a person who had been distorting reality for a long time, and with me. And I felt guilt, I felt shame. I couldn't figure out why this was happening. And the somatic experience that I'm talking about, the anxiety, took over me completely. And I was like 2 minutes away from meeting Dan.
Yeah.
Um, and I turned around and I told him, I'm sorry. I can't do this right now. I got to go take care of something. And your response was so kind, Dan. I knew you were really bummed out, because we live busy lives, so I know it's hard for us to get together, and I felt like I was abandoning you. And I always felt very guilty for that moment, just so you know. Um, but you were just kind and accepting, and I really appreciated that instead of shaming or I don't know, being angry with me, which you had every right to be angry with me. Um, just 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 a side note on your character. It's always been consistently kind, at least to me. I don't know about other people. But yeah, it's this heaviness that will will direct. And if you see people in codependent relationships where this is going on, it's a heaviness that will direct one of the partners to like let go of everything that's meaningful in their life to focus on whatever keeps distorting reality. Um, does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
Here's why good people get trapped in stuff like this. They value fairness and accountability. They try to explain themselves better instead of leaving. They think if I could just communicate clearly enough, reality would finally be acknowledged. That's how high integrity people get stuck.
Right.
It's not because they're weak, but because they're trying to be reasonable in an unreasonable system. Does that make sense?
Yeah. But I think what eventually is the experience of being freed from the trap is that we're no longer enmeshed with that person. We don't need them to be doing a certain thing or giving us a certain quality of attention or saying the right thing. The like key to get out of it is has something to do with that piece being like let go of, and the like mechanism for that seems like it's not primarily a cognitive exercise, right? It's like a
Not
nervous
primarily.
somatic exercise,
The
right?
first thing you need to do is actually regulate the nervous system. You need to be able there is a cognitive component to the healing, but it starts with first grounding yourself, not letting the anxiety fully take over. Because people who are struggling with this, they will often try to rationalize the behavior of the person who is distorting reality by saying things to themselves like, maybe they didn't mean to do that. Um, the the key protection sentence that people who struggle with reality distortion could use is something along the lines of intent doesn't change the effect. The outcome was that I stopped trusting myself, and that's what caused the harm.
Yeah.
So you need to like acknowledge that that's what's going on. You need to, there's a huge idealization going on about the person that's distorting reality at that point. And you're either fighting with your own moral compass to try to justify leaving or, whatever it is that you feel you need to do that would be healthy for you, or you have an attachment issue, or both.
Yeah.
So
And I would say even like people who are securely attached, we still have moments of feeling insecure attachment, right? Something that would kind of fit in that category, or feeling of
yeah,
attachment, right? It's not like we're wandering through our life in an entirely zen like state.
no,
So
no,
there's gonna be those experiences, and the more practice we have figuring out how to like identify when our nervous system or our somatic energy is off and how to actually refuel our tank or get relief, right? That's incredibly useful so that we can like navigate through these crises, right? These like
Yeah.
internal emotional crises, and not get just swept out to sea with them. Because I
And
think
I'll,
if we're swept out to sea, we need somebody to rescue us
yeah.
and be the person who's been the perpetrator if we're looking at like the Darvo.
Yeah. And I'll just add one more thing. You said even secure people can get um, subjected to reality distortion and get kind of sucked into it. And I'll tell you why that's right and how that happens. Um, if you look at a person's personality makeup, if you take an exam like the Enneagram test,
Hmm.
for instance, I'm a one wing two. So I am the perfectionist and the helper. Those are my core personality type traits.
Yeah.
And so the perfectionist is a highly moral, like I have a high moral compass, and I
Hmm.
know that about me. I'm not saying I'm perfect or I've done moral things perfectly throughout my life, or that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is when I realize something is wrong, or something I do might hurt someone, or someone hurts someone that I love, or something like that, and I'm watching the what's it called? Like I'm searching for the injustice there and what's right and what's wrong. If I have that makeup and I go into a situation where someone operates out of a reality distortion type relational pattern, I am gonna try to figure out, I'm attached to them and I feel a sense of love or care for them. I'm going to try to figure out reality before I leave.
Hmm. Yeah.
So that's just the way that my personality is. That's I could be secure and still notice things, and it can drive me crazy, and it might come off as insecurity. And I'm not saying I'm perfectly secure, but I'm just giving an example. Um, but it's really coming from the place of the fact that I want to help this person because I care about them. That's my wing. And I have the personality makeup of someone who will do everything they can before they destroy a relationship or a friendship or a work engagement, right?
Yeah.
Because it won't feel right to me if I haven't done that based off of my personality.
Yes. Yes. That makes sense.
Yeah.
So I know we got to wrap in a minute, but
Yeah.
before we wrap, I have some very exciting news for you.
Okay. I'm excited.
This is completely unrelated to everything that we've talked about so far. So thanks for listening, like, subscribe, all that. But we have now finished our 63rd episode, which means that we're only 4 episodes away from episode number 67.
Oh my God. Uh, is that, oh no. And that matters why?
Oh my gosh. I guess you don't have like
I know all the kids are saying it. I know, but like what? Okay. So,
it
God,
it
you're so
just
goofy.
it so feeds into my like perpetual adolescent energy that I'm going to be unhinged at episode
Oh my
six,
God.
seven. I'm unhinged and just
More than you already are?
be prepared to be driven totally crazy.
Okay.
I'm going to have
Well,
some new sounds on the soundboard.
oh God.
Yes, I know something to really look forward to. I know you love
Oh
that part.
my God. Please stop. Okay.
Thanks for listening. Talk to you guys next time.
Therapy dudes, take away your stress, put you